Thank you for your interest in these incredible machines. They have supported us in war and peace. Let us remember those heroic crews too. The Douglas A-20 Havoc is an American medium bomber, attack aircraft, night intruder, night fighter, and reconnaissance aircraft of World War II. Designed to meet an Army Air Corps requirement for a bomber, it was ordered by France for their Air Force before the US-AAC decided it would also meet their requirements. French DB-7s were the first to see combat. After the fall of France, the bomber, under the service name Boston, continued with the Royal Air Force. From 1941, night fighter and intruder versions were given the service name Havoc. In 1942, US-AAF A-20s saw combat in North Africa. It served with several Allied air forces, principally the United States Army Air Forces, the Soviet Air Forces, Soviet Naval Aviation, and the Royal Air Force of the United Kingdom. A total of 7,478 aircraft were built, of which more than a third served with Soviet units. It was also used by the Air Forces of Australia, South Africa, France, and the Netherlands during the war, and by Brazil afterwards. In most British Commonwealth Air Forces, the bomber variants were known as Boston, while the night fighter and intruder variants were named Havoc. The exception was the Royal Australian Air Force, which used the name Boston for all variants. The US-AAF used the P-70 designation to refer to the night fighter variants. In 1939, the US-AAC decided that the new bomber was best placed to meet its requirements for an attack bomber, which had been updated in 1938 from those that gave rise to the Model 7B, and in June 1939, it ordered 186 aircraft powered by Wright R-2600 engines, under the designations A-20 and A-20A. These had a larger vertical tail to cope with the increased power of the Wright engines, had a longer nose to give more room for the bombardier, and carried more fuel. When DB-7 series production finally ended on September 20, 1944, a total of 7,098 had been built by Douglas, and a further 380 by Boeing. Douglas redesigned its Santa Monica plant to create a mechanized production line to produce A-20 Havocs. The assembly line was over a mile long, but by looping back and forth, fitted into a building that was only 700 feet long. Man-hours were reduced by 50% for some operations, while production tripled. Thanks, you have reached the end of the journey. Take care, see you pretty soon. Safe flight.